I'm ready to show this guy what's up. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how may I ask, do you propose I unlocked your door and got in here? Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here. Sorry, but we are not finished yet. Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusations on something? Yes, my own mountain of evidence. I'll show you what I'm basing my accusation on. With evidence. Alright. So it points away from me being the culprit. How did you get in here? Should I show the master key? Yeah, I think the master key is the safe bet. Look at that smug little, no, I got this. I believe you were able to open my office door. With the master key, no less. Wait. Hold on a second. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know. Precisely. You were able to open my door without lifting a single finger. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. Really undermining your own cool line there. Everyone's always like, Edgeworth is so cool and calm and collected and all, and he's like actually one of the biggest nerds who's like just constantly saying awkward stuff like that. That's right. You used your finger to direct this person to open my door with the key, Maggie. Ooh, I like that music though. You asked Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes? Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know. But the room you had Miss Bird open at the time was not your own, was it? I mean, honestly, that good guy could get a lanyard. He's already wearing a big old medal. Just put your key on there like a little lanyard. But also he needs an excuse to murder, so, you know. What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask the girl herself whose door she opened, shall we? I'm certain that it was Mr. Portsman's door, sir. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. See, Miss Bird backs up my story. Yet, what if you misled her to fool her into thinking what you wanted? Huh, and how do you suppose I did that? By switching the number plates on our doors, for example? That's right, they do slide out pretty easily. Furthermore, you then used one other thing to give a very strong impression. That the door she was opening was yours, and not in fact mine. Basketball hoop. This is pretty easy. Basketball hoop. What? The basketball hoop, sir? It's quite the peculiar fixture in any hallway, let alone a hallway in this building. Which is why it left in usually, I feel like that's supposed to be unusually, but, and usually, or maybe, I guess usually is a word then. if it's the opposite of unusually. Oh, I hate that. Which is why it left an usually strong impression on you. Try saying that 5 times fast. It's an object perfectly suited to sit just outside the office of a peculiar prosecutor. Sportsman. Gwa! That's very true, sir, because there was a basketball hoop sitting there. I thought the door I was opening had to be Mr. Portman's. There are signs that the hoop has been moved. To sit it in front of my office, to be sure. I see. So that's how you throw suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the racetrack. Ooh. Now you're just spouting nonsense. I had the girl open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me. So he intends to claim his innocence to the end, does he? I'm as pure and innocent as my jacket. Your jacket's stupid. And so are you. And Miss Bird is as dirty and guilty as the jacket she wears. Her jacket is nice. My jacket's not dirty. I'll have you know. I just washed it yesterday. Please calm down, for I intend to show who is the one truly covered in slime here. I mean, I hope neither are covered in slime. Oh, I had the girl open my office door, and now we're gonna present the fingerprints. Wait. There we go. Hook, line, and sinker. Don't you just adore when the evidence helps you out like that? I had your door dusted for prints. My door? Ha! What for? Come on. I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right. I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints. Her prints, what do you think they have to do with anything? Let's put it this way. If she really was the one who opened your door, then her prints should naturally be on the doorknob she touched. Ack! Further, all of the prints on my office door's knob have been wiped clean off. I can only assume it's because Miss Bird's fingerprints were on there. But it doesn't change the fact that I was in my room the entire time. Is that really a fact, or is it just fiction? Hey, would I lie to you? Yes. Yes, you would. In fact, that's all you've been doing. I have here proof that you are not in your room as you claim. What is that proof? Oh, yeah, because he left the note. This is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman. A note. It was left under your door. Or did you not notice? And right here it says, but you're out. 3 strikes and you're out. You were not in your room when the victim came here to call on you. So then, where were you? And what were you doing? Ah! Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me. Detective Faith found you out. Possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faith to silence him. and I had the misfortune to return when I did. You had threatened me. You had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office. Ha 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 ha. And just what's so funny, pal? Well, that look of stiff seriousness on the face of the office's finest prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else like it in the world. What? Mr. Edgeworth just explained it all, and even backed it up. You're the murderer. Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already. And as I said earlier, it's all so circumstantial, so full of conjecture. You say you checked my doorknob for prints? Well, I can readily confess that I had wiped that knob down well. Eh? I'm a little obsessive-compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched. Which is why I wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. I mean, they're lucky he wears fingerless gloves. They both show that he was definitely the murderer, and that he definitely had to leave fingerprints. After that, it makes perfect sense that only Jim's and my own prints would be on there. You made that up just now, didn't you? Furthermore, as for the note Jim left me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it there before I arrived at the office. Like early evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail at times. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, although that's no excuse. Now that's just a flat-out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size. Ah, but you can't prove that, can you? Dots. Say something, Mr. Edgeworth. Back me up here, sir. Portsman makes a good point. I can't prove that he didn't simply overlook it. Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Really? Airtight, you say? I only realized I had one now as we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all of us if I had just told you sooner. I want to hear what this alibi is. If memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct? Yeah. And it was then that you had the unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. True. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs. Ask around. I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. I mean, not really. It just is saying that you weren't there during the threatening. Do you really think it's that perfect? Like I said, I don't care. Ask around all you like. You'll see for yourself. Dots. Detective Gumshoe. Sir, yes, sir? I'll go check out his alibi, sir. Be right back. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portsman said. The guys down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 o'clock. You see? All the evidence points to him being the culprit. So there must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere. If memory serves, you came back to this office at 2 a.m. I was down in criminal affairs. I'm gonna press here, see if I get any more info. It is as you say, however. Yes, however, you are the only one who claims to have bumped into the culprit. So tell me, did you see the person's face? Was it me who you saw? It was pitch black, so I couldn't actually see. Oh, come now. I'm sure you saw something. Try a little harder, why don't you? I'm beginning to feel like I'm the one being interrogated here. Oh well, it doesn't matter if you remember or not. It only matters that you ran into the culprit. So do we have any... The body was found at around 2:05 a.m. I wonder what sort of... if we have any evidence against this. Like... because they say that he was definitely there. Let me look at some of the other stuffs. And find out what he was doing in criminal affairs. So you paid the criminal affairs department a visit. Yep. Right after I left the prosecutor's building, I headed straight for the precinct. Well, oh, hi. I'm, streaming.
Did the dog bring the dog bowls into here?
No, I don't think the dog brought the dog bowls in here. Sorry, that was my sister. Well, we did go and ask around to confirm your testimony. Oh. Give me a second. I actually have to... No, I don't think I did that. Never mind. I don't have to tell her anything. And it was just as I said, right? Yes, sir. A number of detectives said that they saw you at around that time. See, I have the perfect alibi. That's the ace I had up my sleeve. Portman's alibi may seem perfect at first glance, but I know there's a hole in it somewhere. All I need to do is press him a little and see what comes of it. Okay, so it's saying press. I'm gonna press everything again, I guess. You are correct, it was around 2 a.m. Are you sure? It's really important to me that you're spot on with the time. I remember checking my watch then, and make no mistake, it was 2. Oh, giving testimony like a pro. Okay, so you came back to your office at 2. Impossible. He actually does have the perfect alibi. What's wrong? Why the sudden sullen look on your face? Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth? Heh. I think we've reached the end of the line, and it's time to get off this crazy train. I mean, being the person who threatened is not necessarily the person who killed. You there? Sir? Please escort the young lady out, but remember, be gentle. Maggie. Detective Gumshoe. Is there nothing I could do? There must be a way to turn this situation around. If only I had a clue. Did I miss something that can help me cast doubt on his alibi? I need to calmly think this through one more time, and with logic. Because the culprit doesn't have to be, I'm going to say, another handgun, because we know it could have been someone else now. There were 2 bullets left at the scene of the crime. One that robbed Mr. Faith of his life. And one that nearly robbed me of my jacket. However, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once. Meaning that it is entirely possible that a second gun was used in my office tonight. In fact, it's almost definite that a second gun was used and a second culprit or a second person was here. But seeing as how the killer had to steal Mr. Faith's gun, I doubt that the killer had another gun up their sleeve. Therefore, the second gun could have been the property of an entirely different person, which could mean that there was another person who paid a visit to my office tonight. Oh, and maybe that person stole the file. So, that theft just kind of happened at the same time. Interesting. Supposing there was yet another visitor tonight, that would also resolve the issue of why my shelves were upended twice. We know that the shelves were disturbed once before and once after the murder. So it shouldn't be much of a stretch to think that it was the work of 2 different people. Once by the person who stole the victim's gun and then killed him with it, and once again after the murder by our second culprit. I keep getting messages. If we suppose that the second culprit's gun was the only one that was pointed at my back. Objection. Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding this case. Great. So you've finally come to your senses. Mr. Edgeworth. Sir, what are you saying? There has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the beginning. I had assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that may not be the case. What do you mean? The person I ran into was just your average thief. A thief? But sir, doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction in the facts? Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And it means that in actuality, 2 culprits stole into my office tonight. Everyone has poorly planned out the time of when they're gonna steal from Edgeworth. Like, they had an entire month, and they're like, what if we did it just, when he's about to get home? It explains both why my shelves were disturbed twice, and how there were 2 guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Miss Bird and gained entry into my office. Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any proof, If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. In the end, if you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Grr. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me, which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelves. This is the first time. So then, this would be back when the files were put back in the wrong order, right? Correct. And then, just when he was about to look somewhere else, who should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith? But why did Mr. Faith come into your room, sir? He probably had business with Mr. Portsman, which is why he was in the area. But that's when he noticed sounds coming from my office, would be my guess. Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right? And he must have thought it was odd, so he came into this office to check it out. Correct, and as a detective, that was the right thing to do. But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there. Because it was Mr. Portsman, Mr. Faith probably let his guard down. But Mr. Portsman was not so merciful as to let him leave alive. He waited for a chance and stole Mr. Faith's gun from him. And then... pew! He killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. Ooh, look at how nervous he is. This was the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my shelves. Following that, Mr. Portsman wiped the gun down and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he also left the fake dying message behind. You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that? Well, if things were as simple as that, then all would be solved. However, there was yet another visitor to my room, and this is where it gets complicated. There was another visitor, sir? Yes, and this other person's objective was also to steal something from me. Now then, even after Portsman left, the door to my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, and so, they stole the master key from the security guard's room. And then, entered my room and searched through my shelves. This was the second time they were disturbed, and it seems the thief found their prize. The stolen 0 file, right, sir? Even the file says, "Oh," like it's so surprised. Correct. Only just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun, and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter. So the shelves getting messed up twice, and the 2 bullets. It was all because 2 different people were doing those things at 2 different times. Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I met was just a thief, and was not, in fact, Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran into the other person is now irrelevant. Because we now know that the murder took place during the first culprit's visit. What are you gonna object with? Ha 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 ha. What's so funny, pal? Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything. Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth after all. But you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if your theory is right, It would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there is still one thing, one defining point of your argument, for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor. Grr, Mr. Edgeworth, we can't let him get away with that, sir. But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point. Don't say that, sir. I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll do something if I must. You know something? I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. If the person you met really was just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory is correct. Sorry, that opening was really, cheerful sounding that it threw me off for a second. That thief you ran into should be your real suspect, wouldn't you say? We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. I hate to repeat myself, but, as I've already said, I was trading in my room. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at criminal affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left. Okay, this is, looking a bit tricky. I don't know what to go with quite yet. But we'll figure it out. So you think we should be out there looking for the thief? Of course. Now isn't the time to be wasting time on dead-end discussions. I don't think it's all dead-ended. I find your alibi to be fascinating. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. It's like such a happy, peppy opening. Let's see. How do we prove something of this wrong? I'm going to say the note again, since he specifically mentioned it was getting evidence. Oh, and when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at criminal affairs. Okay, so it can't have been that. I was training in my room. Whatever were you training? But according to Mr. Faith's note... Hold on, I thought we already cleared that up. Didn't we say that Jim left that note for me in the early evening? If we have proof that he left it at a different time, say just before he was murdered. I don't have any, no. You see, so I insist again that I was in my office the entire time. This is such a weird line, I feel like that's the difference. But it's not, I was clearly wrong. I'm very confused about what this line is supposed to be about. Oof. Alright. I was down at criminal affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened after I left. What does the note say again? Just like we talked about. No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Says she unlocked the door. Probably nothing to do with that. Stolen O series. Oh, it just gives us a blank page. So, I'm gonna press on this. Why didn't you go there with Mr. Faith? That's because he said he was tired and was gonna take a quick nap. You know those sofas in the hallway? He likes to sleep on those. It's one of his habits. And what of the evidence he brought? They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items. A gun and a pendant. Gun and a pendant. Interesting. This piece of testimony seems too crucial to let slip through the cracks. He brought me 2 items, a gun and a pendant. A gun and a pendant? Yes. This gun, which was the murder weapon, and this pendant, which belonged to the victim. And why were you taking them to criminal affairs? There was something in the past case file I wanted to compare these two to. But all this has nothing to do with the case right now. Anyway, I believe you'll find the long paper trail I left to be to your satisfaction. This is all matching up with what Detective Gumshoe. But he brought a gun. So I'm gonna say, what is the evidence I have for other gun? Maybe just present the gun? Nope, that's wrong. I was thinking maybe to like prove that that isn't the gun you brought. Maybe I need to take the information from here and apply it to something else. Should all be looking out there. Might still be nearby. Wow, where did those items go? Maybe press again? No, that's the same dialogue. I was thinking maybe we could bring up the fact that those items aren't here, though. So... hold it. I can't expect you to know, can I? No. But I guess you can't expect me to take a guess based on logical deductions. Oh, then let's see you deduce. Jim waited for me to leave and then stole the master key. For the purposes of sneaking into your room, of course. And that's when Miss Bird caught him red-handed and the murder occurred. It's all exactly as I had laid out earlier. I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. Once escaped, I highly doubt a thief would linger nearby. Well, you never know. Oh, wait. Oh no, he mentioned 2 items, but Jim specifically mentions 3. That's probably the twist. Yeah. Okay, that's very funny that you pointed that out because I just also got that brainstorm at the same time. So thank you for the help. It's just we both had the same thought at the same time. So it's very funny. We're on the same wavelength here. We're two very smart people. Only two pieces? I believe the proper phrase here is, you fail. Epic fail by the cringe prosecutor. Excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portsman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. Oh, what are you talking about? I haven't hidden anything from you. Well, here's a piece that I think... Here's a piece I think you should read carefully. Ah, it says Mr. Faith was bringing 3 pieces. Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portsman. I can't believe to get tripped up by simple arithmetic. Where is the missing piece of evidence? You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face. Detective Gumshoe? You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pat the guy down from head to toe. Ooh, look at that back bend. He's like trying to limbo his way out of this. What? Don't come any closer. I'm warning you. This is all part of the investigation, pal. So don't even think about stopping me. No! Hey, what's this? He had this on him, sir. Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide. But why would he hide something like that? There's only reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. Because it would unequivocally point to that person himself as the real killer. Ner. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail. For the section of the tape that will drive the last nail into his coffin. Examine KG8 incident. That's a police number, sir. Does this mean that this video is evidence from that case? Interesting. However, what's recorded on this isn't what's important right now. Maybe it is. I want to see what the video is. So let's give the casing a thorough over once more. Oh, yep, there's blood on there. Just a big ol' splot of blood. Ah, that's blood, isn't it? Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh. You mean this might be Detective Faith's blood? No, you've got it all wrong. No amount of denial can save you. We have but to run a blood test to try to find the truth. You told us that you had received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us when and how the victim's blood found its way onto this video. Yeah, it's totally suspicious. Was it at the moment of his death? Did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personage when you killed him? You know very well there's no way to prove that. Not even if we were to examine this tape for fingerprints? Nah. If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones on here would belong to the murderous you and Mr. Faith. No, impossible. Oh no, he's chewing it into gold flecks. Oh no. He's crying. He's like, oh, the sweet release of death. That was definitely a smile on his face as he swallowed his gold medal. Mr. Portsman has been placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Faith, sir. Very good. And the results we got back from the lab techs on the tape turned out to be real solid, sir. The blood work came back, and it was definitely Mr. Faith's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were also able to lift a few of Mr. Faith's fingerprints as well. Thank you so very much, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, my mom's home. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside of the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir. It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please, accept my apologies. It was nothing. Really, compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky that it was only a burglary and murder this time, sir. If it had been a hold-up or a hostage situation, I'd have thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person. Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail. You know something, sir? That Mr. Portsman really was one corrupt prosecutor. And why would you say he was corrupt? Well, I heard that there were a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors that about how some of the evidence he uses is forged, sir. Forged evidence, huh? And they say he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons. Oh, that guy is a complete disgrace to the entire profession. We never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office. Yeah, whenever we got near that topic, he just clammed up. Oh, sorry, there are sounds going on. Although we can be pretty certain it was to steal something. This is just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes. Oh? Well, well. With Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge anything, it certainly lends credence to that rumor. It's the Yakuza. Wataki's family is back and they're like, no, don't tell them we need stolen evidence. And he's like, oh man, it's the Yakuza. Better not let them know I'm caught for stealing evidence. It would seem that we haven't heard the last of this. Huh? Then Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy? No, he still committed murder and is still a jerk. I didn't... Oh, hi, yes, I'm still streaming. Oh.
I wanted to give you a Easter gift.
Thank you so much. I will say thank you. Oh, the dog's here too. Hi, puppy. Hi. Sorry, that was an interruption from my family, whom I love, but they're very loud. I didn't say that, but rather that there are still many more mysteries for us to solve. For example, we still haven't figured out the significance to this piece of evidence. This one. My badge. The person who stole this file. The other villain of the night. Yeah, I wonder who it was. And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was it that held me up at gunpoint? Mr. Edgeworth, sir? Yes? I came across this while I was processing your office earlier, sir. This card. A calling card. Ooh. What is this, sir? Is that a bird or something on there? It's not just any bird. It's the mark of the raven. A three-legged raven. Even you should know what this is, detective. Oh, It's about that thing, isn't it? The great thief everyone's talking about. Yes, it is the thief of the great thief. Oh my goodness, that is a name. Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu. Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yatagarasu is noble to the end, a modern Robin Hood. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yatagarasu appears and vanishes at will. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we know the targets. The Yatagarasu likes to find and make public evidence of corrupt dealings of all sorts. The theft is always performed in silence, and always with perfection, except for this time because no one can plan around Edgeworth's vacation. Once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is set forth. What? But that's like the best part. Instead, the chosen corporation is infiltrated without the target noticing. Some days later, the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media. So this is like a professional whistleblower. Along with a single card. Although it has been a while since the Yatagarasu's last appearance. Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, look, something's written on the back. What? Let me see. It's the location of where the thief put the stolen files. So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu organization. Quite a few key words are popping up in this mystery. The murder in my office. Oh look, it's all cleaned. The return of the great thief Yatagarasu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming, for they were heralded by the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. What? What happened 2 days ago? Well, I guess for now, that's the end.